Hey guys, this is KinoDVT here, bringing you a game between Liquid HuK and Socke. I do apologize for the echoiness of the sound in this room I'm currently in. It was recently vacated by the person living in it, and I have not yet moved any stuff into it, so it's rather echoey. Now, this is a PvP, and it is from the MLG, I can't remember what the name is, but the one that's happening right now. By right now, I mean right now. It is currently Sunday the 5th of June for me, and this should be an interesting game. I have watched some of these games on the live stream, but I haven't watched all of them. So this is one of the games that I haven't watched, and I will be casting a few of them today. This being a PvP, both players should be doing exactly the same thing, which I will be interested to see if it's not a 4-gate. We do see both players putting down pylons and probes at exactly the same time, so nothing particularly interesting to talk about. The biggest difference will start to come when they put down gateways or gases, and we'll see what happens then. Neither player has scouted yet. This is scrap stations, so they should be able, well, they do know exactly where their opponent is. It's interesting. It should make going for a second base slightly harder. We do see Socke going for the gateway just a little bit faster than HuK, a second or two, so no big deal there. HuK now having 50 more minerals. Actually, they're about the same. We do see Socke putting down a simulator slightly faster, so either Socke is just that tiny bit ahead of HuK, or HuK is delaying things deliberately. You can put the gateway timing down to the fact that HuK's gateway is a little bit further away and Socke's gateway is a little bit closer. Interesting pylon placement of the second pylon, putting it behind the mineral line. Probably just making it harder for drop and zealots and things like that to get in there. Socke not stealing some minerals. HuK trying to get all the information he can, trying to check that there's no crazy shit going on, which there shouldn't be. I mean, it is PvP. We do notice that I think he put that pylon there so he could put the cybernetics core behind his mineral line and hope that his opponent didn't see it, but he did. Both players doing exactly the same thing. If we look at the production tab, 34, 29, 8, 7, 21, 19, that's the difference in the timing. HuK is still just slightly below Socke in all of the buildings, and it's interesting. It could just mean that Socke's initial thing was Liquid HuK complaining a little bit. We do see that could be the first big difference. A chrono boost? No, they're both chrono boosting the Stalker. Neither of them have chrono boosted the warp gate. However, Socke's warp gate is about 20 seconds faster. So I'll be interested to see where the chrono boosts start to land. Both players, HuK now chrono boosting the warp gate, and yes, both players spending their first chrono boost on a Stalker and their second chrono boost on the cybernetics core. And HuK pushing out to try and get a little bit of map control with the Zealot, Probe, and Stalker. Given this is most likely a 4-gate, which it is, this will allow him to get a proxy pylon up, and there it goes. He is also gaining a little bit of map control and has that tiny advantage on that Zealot. However, Socke is going to put a proxy pylon up here, so while he can't actually get it on his opponent's side of the map, it is closer than his opponent would probably like. Socke's gateways will be up slightly slower than HuK's. No, wait, that's the other way around. HuK's gateways will be up slightly slower than Socke's, and this should be interesting. However, Socke is supply blocked. No, he's not. We do see a slight food advantage going to HuK, and if we look at the units tab, it's now evened out. It's now basically the same. However, HuK does have 2 more workers than his opponent, so that's interesting, and that should give him a slight economic advantage. Don't know why he was going after that second gas. This 4-gate is going to be quite interesting. So with 4-gates, I mean, you're both ending up with exactly the same amount of army. Socke now taking that second gas to try and sustain mass Stalker and not so many Zealots. HuK is going to be forced to defend this, and it could be quite scary. He does have the advantage of this pylon being over here, so the forces won't warp in instantly, and that should give him the defender's advantage. However, if his opponent was to be rather aggressive and push, he could warp in 2 or 3 Zealots back here, and he is going to warp in 1 Zealot. And yeah, he is going to go into the mineral line and see what he can do about it. However, two zealots coming in for his opponent and spotting that zealot as it goes with this proxy pylon, which, as I am aware, HuK does not know about yet. However, he may suspect, given he was just spotted, because he was very careful to place that out of range of the Zelmega Tower. So we do see that Socke now has the... doesn't have quite as big as army. He is, however, putting down a Twilight Council, so he does have that advantage there. HuK not putting down Twilight Council or anything like that, but still taking that second gas just to pump Stalkers a bit more. Both players not really wanting to push because neither of them have a big enough advantage and will just end up losing their armies, and one will get lucky and then that one will win. So neither players are really willing to risk it, given they'll have exactly the same army size. I suggest that I think that Socke will probably push when he gets his blink, because that will give him a sizable advantage in that he will be able to get his stalkers that are weakened out a lot quicker. He probably didn't want this fight to start happening for another second or two, because then he would have had blink, well, another 20 seconds or so, because then he would have had blink, which would have been quite a massive advantage. HuK's mass zealots probably gave him a little bit of an advantage in that fight, and we should start seeing blink being used now by Socke and see some pretty good micro going on. We'll see how that works. Yep, there we go, good blink micro right there, keeping his stalkers alive as long as possible, and that basically gave him the advantage during that fight, especially against the higher count of zealots that HuK brought to the fight. He was able to stay out of range using blink, keeping the low ones alive, and just hammer HuK for everything he is worth. HuK is now in a little bit of trouble. You see a photon cannon going down in Socke's mineral line. That's interesting. I would have expected something like that from HuK, because he now is at a bit of a disadvantage. He has a 4 food disadvantage, which just got expedited, I think that's the right word, by a warp in, so he's at a little bit of a disadvantage right now, and this could spell disaster. That blink micro just ending his advantage, or putting a stop to any advantage he may have had. We do see a fairly large force of stalkers pushing out across the map. The numbers are about even, except there's one zealot on one side and these are slightly weaker, so with some good micro he could pick off and get some easy kills. And both players now have blink, so blink micro is going to be fairly easy. Both these players having, both those stalkers having used their blink, and were now picked off by Socke and his unit. Socke now being forced to run away, and he is going to start hammering on these rocks, so going to push for an easier walking distance. Interestingly enough, the zealots aren't actually attacking the rocks. I think that may just be a little bit of a misclick right there. Yep, there they go. And they are going to be caught out of position by this army, which could not be particularly good. Again, the numbers are about the same. I mean, both players are forgetting. Both players are going to need to pop down an expansion fairly soon, because they will start to mine out their mains in 5 or so minutes. So expansions are going to need to happen somewhere, and unless they expand at the same time, the first one to expand could lose the game. So at the moment, I think they're playing a little bit of the game of chicken. However, Socke has a massively larger amount of stalkers than HuK. I mean, it's not a massive advantage, but it's 3 or 4 stalkers, which is enough to just push on. So at the moment, I think they're just playing a little bit of a game of chicken with economy management to see who folds first. And both players keeping up strong, neither player gaining enough of advantage, neither player having a good enough proxy pylon to push out straight away. We do see a Dark Spire coming out for Socke. This is going to be a big difference. Socke, if he's able to warp in 1 DT, that's going to spell the end of Liquid HuK. Because he doesn't have a forge, he doesn't have a robotic facility, and it's nice and hidden. HuK may suspect that that pylon is there, but he doesn't actually know. HuK trying to get in and get that information. Is he going to come around? Is he going? Ooh, that's a big warp in. I don't think this stalker is. Oh wait, he slipped into the main, so he's not going to get the information that he needs. He needs to see that Dark Spire to put down a forge or something of those along those lines. Dark Spy is now 40 seconds away. This game could be over in 30 seconds. 1 DT, and I suspect HuK will tap out because there's nothing he'll be able to do about it. It can just hammer on his army, hammer on his buildings, do whatever the hell he likes. He needs to put down something now. He is, however, pushing out and does have an army advantage over his opponent due to the fact that he's been spending all this gas on this Dark Shrine. But this Dark Shrine, and there's the Dark Templar, and that's the game. I'm sorry, but I cannot actually see it going any other way for HuK, because at this point in time he has no form of detection. None at all. So I'm pretty sure this is going to be over for HuK. Did he notice that he lost control of that Zelnaga watchtower when those headed out? 2 DT's going to deal massive economic and other damage. However, this may be a base race situation, but Socke has put down an expansion at the gold, which his opponent does currently not know about. So while DTs are messing around in his main, he's going to have to force... No. He just decided to GG right there, as I thought he would, because he had no ground to stand on. He wouldn't have been able to win this fight with enough... actually, he might have. He might have been able to win enough to do a base race, but all Socke would have needed to do is just warp in a DT, and then the army's gone. This is Keno DVT, signing off. That was a good game.